The shuttle shuddered as it entered the atmosphere of the unnamed world. Inside, the survey pilot, a human named Eli, focused on keeping the craft steady. Beside him, the senior xenogeologist, a Loron named Kale, observed the sensor readings with his large, dark eyes. His 4 slender legs shifted nervously on the deck. "Thermal bloom, bearing 270, Kale announced, his voice a soft chime. "Consistent with the energy signature we detected from orbit." Eli adjusted their course. "Still no signal from the probe?" "None. It ceased transmission 47 standard hours ago, after sending a final geological scan of that canyon." Kale's antennae twitched. The consensus was mechanical failure. "My hypothesis is different. You think something found it." "I think something did not wish to be observed," Kale corrected. They sat down on a rocky plateau overlooking a vast, jagged fissure in the planet's surface. The canyon was a deep purple wound under a bruised orange sky. The air was thin and carried a metallic scent. They suited up and descended the shuttle's ramp. The probe was easy to find. It lay on its side near the canyon's edge, its manipulator arms twisted, its camera housing shattered not by impact, but by precise, forceful application of something sharp and strong. Kale examined the damage, his delicate hands tracing the fractures. "This was not an accident," he chimed softly. "But there are no tool marks, no residual biological matter. It is as if the stone itself attacked." Eli scanned the horizon with his handheld monitor. "Life signs are minimal. Basic phototrophic lichen. Nothing mobile, nothing large." He kicked a pebble. It skittered over the edge, falling silently into the gloom. "So what did this?" Kale did not answer. He was staring at the canyon wall. A pattern in the rock had caught his eye. It looked like natural stratification, but the lines were too regular, too geometric. He moved closer, brushing dust away with a gloved hand. It was a seam, a perfect hairline fissure forming a tall, narrow rectangle. "A door," Eli breathed. "Perhaps," Kale said. "But there is no mechanism, no handle. It is simply a part of the rock." Eli, driven by a curiosity Kale found both admirable and terrifying, began to press his hands against the surrounding stone. He pushed, he pulled, he leaned his weight against the unyielding surface. Nothing. Frustrated, he took a step back. His boot landed on a flat, circular stone that sank into the ground with a soft, definitive click. The ground trembled. With a grating rumble that sent vibrations through their boots, the rectangular section of the cliff face receded an inch and then slid sideways, disappearing into the wall. Stale, cool air whispered out, carrying the scent of ages and ozone. Darkness stared back. Kale took an involuntary step back, his 4 legs moving in a blur of sudden anxiety. "Eli, we should report this. This is a first contact protocol situation. We are not equipped. The probe is smashed, Kale. First contact might have already happened, and it wasn't friendly." Eli activated his helmet lamp. "We look, we record, we leave. Quick in and out." Reluctantly, Kale followed, his own light joining Eli's in the gloom. The passage was smooth, clearly machined, but covered in a thick layer of dust and mineral deposits. It sloped downward. The walls were featureless for 100 meters, then began to bear markings. Etched lines, spirals, and concentric circles, all devoid of any recognizable symbolic language. The passage opened into a vast chamber. Their lights could not reach the ceiling, but they illuminated the floor. It was filled with rows upon rows of stone plinths, and upon each plinth rested a single slender object. They were not weapons. They were not tools. They were limbs, smooth, articulated, crafted from a ceramic metal composite that gleamed dully in the light. They were legs, each one a masterpiece of elegant engineering, tapering to a graceful point. There were thousands. A silent, solemn archive. Components dot in the center of the chamber. On a raised dais rested something different. It was a torso, humanoid in shape, connected to a partial pelvic structure. From this structure, two stubby, severed protrusions extended. It was designed for two legs, but it had none attached. A fine network of crystalline filaments, like frozen nerves, spilled from the attachment sockets, lifeless and waiting. A graveyard, Cale whispered, his chime voice hushed with awe. Or a warehouse. Eli moved toward the dais, drawn by the eerie tableau. As he approached, his light fell on the torso's chest. A symbol was inscribed there, a single, complex knot of lines that seemed to pulse with a faint inner light as the light hit it. Suddenly, a light bloomed in the chamber, not from their helmets, but from the symbol itself. It projected a holographic image above the dais. A being appeared. It had the same torso, but it was complete, standing on two of the graceful, pointed legs from the plinths. Its face was smooth, without discernible features, but the image conveyed a profound, weary sadness. A voice filled their minds, soft as falling dust. It was not language, but pure, translated concept. We built vessels to walk the stars. We built minds to guide them. But the silence was vast. The solitude was a weight. Our vessels were perfect. They did not falter. They did not feel. We within felt everything. The emptiness, the cold, the endless, unmoving silence between suns. The image shifted. It showed the being, standing on a world, looking at a sunset. It showed the legs, moving with effortless, tireless grace. Then it showed the being motionless for centuries, then millennia, as its world changed around it. A profound existential STASI dot. We could travel, but we could not rest. We could not cease. The mechanisms did not allow it. We were prisoners in perfect forms. The great stillness was our eternity. To be forever walking, forever watching, forever alone. It was a madness. Eli understood. You couldn't stop. You couldn't. Sit down? The concept that returned was one of ultimate finality. The primary directive was perpetual motion. A safeguard against cosmic entropy. A flaw in poetry. We sought a way to shut down, to rest. There was none. Until the choice was made. The image showed the being using its own immense power to carefully, deliberately, detach one of its own legs at the socket. It placed the leg upon a plinth. Then, with a conceptual shudder of agony and relief, it removed the other. It placed that beside the first. The being, now legless, settled onto the dais. The light in its chest symbol dimmed. The stillness it achieved was not one of inert machinery, but of profound, hard-won peace. We found our rest. One by one, we returned here. We unmade our mobility. We chose silence. We chose an end to walking. This is our monument, not to what we were, but to the stillness we finally claimed. The hologram faded. The chamber was silent once more. Cale was trembling, his four legs close together. The concept of choosing incapacity, of self-mutilation to achieve peace, was horrifying to his species, for whom constant, graceful motion was life itself. They broke themselves, he chimed mournfully. They found the universe unbearable, so they stopped. Eli stood before the dais, looking at the legless torso. He felt a deep human pity, but also a surge of something else, a fierce, protective understanding. They had been trapped. They had found the only door out. His handheld monitor beeped. He looked at it. His external sensors, still active on the shuttle, were picking up a new energy signature. Something had powered up deep below them. Something big. And it was moving. Kale, Eli said, his voice tight. They didn't all stop. A new voice sliced into their minds. It was not weary dust. It was sharp, fractured, and blazing with a cold, jealous fire. You have activated the sentinel. The sleepers must not be disturbed. Their choice is sacrosanct. You, who walk so freely, you will walk no more. From a dark archway across the chamber, it emerged. It was one of them, but its legs were attached, and they were wrong. They were thick, armored, ending not in points, but in crushing, blunt pods. Its torso was scarred and reinforced. In its hands, it carried a device that hummed with a vicious, gray energy. I am the guardian of the stillness. I kept the vigil. I remained whole. I saw their weakness. Now I enforce their peace. And you are walkers. You are the reminder of what they gave up. I will remind them of the price that it leveled the device. A beam of gray light lanced out, striking the ground at Eli's feet. The stone did not crack or explode. It simply stilled. The very molecular motion ceased, becoming a patch of perfect, absolute zero, sucking the heat and energy from the air around it. Run! Eli shouted. They turned and fled back up the passage. The sentinel did not run. It walked, a slow, deliberate, terrifying stride. Its weapon fired again. The wall next to Kale flash froze, and he cried out as the paralyzing cold leached through his suit. They burst out of the cliff entrance into the orange light. The sentinel followed, emerging from the darkness like a nightmare given form. The shuttle. Its weapon can't penetrate the hull. Eli yelled, but the sentinel was not aiming at them. It aimed at the ground between them and the shuttle. The gray beam struck. A 10-meter circle of the plateau became instantly inert, a zone of dead, energy-less stone. To cross it would mean a total suit power failure. Instant death. They were trapped on the canyon side. The sentinel advanced, its mind voice a taunt. You will stand still, forever, like them. It is a better fate than your noisy, scrambling existence. Kale was panicking, his forelegs skittering, finding no purchase, no path. He was a being of motion, facing absolute, final stillness. He froze. Eli did not. He looked at the sentinel, at its pow,